My live stream died, but we're back, and we are picking up where we left off yesterday, which is not witches like the magic ladies or the awesome movie that we watch every Halloween. We were looking at writing tests for our JavaScript application. So I actually have it open there. We actually don't really need that. What we want is npm run test, I believe. And we are currently writing tests in Vitest. So I am going to whoop. I think I'm going to ignore that coverage folder. And then I'm going to push my changes up. So yeah, this should be good. We've made a couple changes based on the results of our tests because we had found a couple errors. So that fixed one thing. And then over here, we had left out the headers. So we wanted to put that back in, I guess. Okay, cool. Getting started with Vitest. Cool. So those changes should be synced here momentarily for anyone that wants to pull it down, the work from yesterday. And then I need to continue my tests. I think I was writing tests for my cookies file here. So where did we leave off yesterday? We said our cookies shouldn't do anything if we don't have a key or a value. Then it adds the name and then cookies.get all. Okay, so we are working on cookies.get all. So essentially, yeah, this looks good. What we want is a new cookie string, let's say. That's going to throw an error, so we can just quickly ignore that because we're doing that deliberately. And then we're kind of building out this fake cookie string. So I think what I'm going to do is take this cookie string and append onto it. So the cookie string doesn't. Oh, the cookie string does have a semicolon at the end. Okay, interesting. So what happens if I do that? Are my tests are going to rerun? And we have a little bit of a difference here, and that makes sense. Because I'm making an assertion against this cookie string, I'm actually, what do I want? What do I want the results to actually be? Let's go to cookies. And when I call two headers, where are we? Cookies. Two headers should always return a semicolon at the end. Okay. So once again, catching our own errors thanks to testing. So a cookie string without a semicolon at the end. I think I want my valid cookie string to always start that way. So it handles no trailing semicolon. So this is what we want. We want, yep, everything but the last character. And then it handles cookies without spaces. Yes, that's what I want. So let's see if how that works. Everything's passing. Great. Okay. Cool. So now what I'm doing here is cookie get, that works as expected, and now get all. So I want to take this cookie string and I'm actually going to say name1 equals value 2 so that we end up with 2 keys for name1. Let's say get all. Let's say actually value 2 equals also value 1. So get all name1. I expect to be, what do I expect it to be? I'm going to close that. Get all an array with value 1. And this I expect to be an array with value 2 and value 1. And that is rerunning, and we have expected car to be car, object is equality. I think I don't want this to be, I want this to equal. And that is because when we do a comparison between 2 different arrays, you expect that in comparison to, if you use to be, that you expect it to be the exact same array. But because we're creating a new array, when we define the expected value, this array has a different pointer. So although the arrays look the same, they're pointing to different actual places in memory, or they have different pointers. I don't know how to explain it. It's basically object by reference versus object by value. Hopefully that makes sense, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But we want to use to equal anyway. And I think technically we probably could, it's probably a good rule of thumb to just always use to equal. I can't, yeah, maybe not. I guess if you wanted to ensure that the array that you pass in is the array that you get out, I don't know. We'll just keep going. So get all looks like it's working fine. What's the next part? We want names. Yeah, nothing really more to test for get all, right? Like, oh, what happens if we pass in something that doesn't exist? Returns empty array if no matching name is found. And probably want returns undefined if no matching name is found. So we're going to get so this is well, no. Okay, we're not going to use cookie string because it could be that the cookie string, like at some point, there's a probability that if we put some random thing in there, there's, however unlikely it is, some probability that this actually does get into cookie string when we randomly generate a word. So what we'll do here is say that foo equals bar, I guess, sure. And then we'll search for, well, not foo, sure. And we expect that to be undefined. I think we can actually just do to be undefined. So let's do that. And then also here, we need to do something similar. We'll take foobar, why not? Very not creative. And we're going to say not foo to equal an empty array. How's that looking? Still passing. Great. That's pretty much it for these functions. They are super basic. And then we're already testing to header, right? Yeah. So we want names and delete. So let's go here, names and delete. Names, delete. And we'll get rid of that test and comment that out for now. And then we can get rid of this suite. And we can say returns all cookie names. We can get rid of that and just start with the cookie string. And names, we expect to return. We are going to want another test for that as well. So names, I expect it to return name 1 and name 2. And then I also, what's up, man's income? Man's income. What's going on? You got any questions around testing? We are writing tests today. It's fun stuff. That is really big. But we'll stick with that. How are you? Very silent, it seems. Well, I'm just going to keep on going then. But yeah, feel free to chime on in if you have any questions or comments, or you want me to talk about something completely different than what I'm talking about. We can look at that. For now, I want to ensure that it returns only unique values or unique names, sure. So now if I have a cookie with the same name printed twice, I still expect only name1 and name2 to show up. And that's going to be automatically watching my changes and updates with 16 tests now. Cool. So let's move on to test number 17. I think that covers my code for names. So now delete. This is another pretty easy one. It takes a cookie and it deletes one of the values in the cookie. So if I call delete and I pass the name1, then I expect the result, I'm going to go back to use to be, and I expect this to be a string where we get name2 equals value2, because here we're deleting the first cookie out of the cookie string, and so we should just get a result with the second one. And it looks like we have a failed test. I didn't update my test suite, so I need to change this. This is what makes it easier to find which test failed. So I can see my full suite of tests here. Cookies.delete, this test is not working correctly. And this should be removes the name and value of the given cookie name. Have a translator. That's great. I don't see any of the other comments that you may have shared. I just see hi and but I have translator. So maybe something got lost there. But I'm happy to slow down for you if that makes it easier. Or if you have questions, feel free to post them and I will do my best to answer them for you. And when you say translator, I'm assuming you speak a different spoken language. So I'd be curious to know what language you speak. Okay, so we have an error here where this is what I'm expecting to see, and I'm getting an undefined value. And that makes sense, actually, because we are calling, yeah, this makes sense because I'm basically taking this function and I'm looking, oh, Russian. Nice to have you here. I hope that you can understand well enough what I'm saying. But essentially, this function method here doesn't return anything, right? It just executes some code on the private cookies property. And because this doesn't return, we actually don't want to return a value here. We want to execute that method and then check that the cookies.to header result. You're trying to understand me a little bit, it turns out. It sounds like maybe you understand me a little bit, which is great. I love that you speak a different language and you can still understand what's going on. And if you want, feel free to message some questions, or if you want me to slow down, just toss it in the chat and I will try my best to answer. So now let's see. Okay, so we're getting closer. Here's what we expected, and this is the result that we got. And that is actually, my test is working correctly, but my assertion here, I was missing a little semicolon. So now with that fixed, all of our tests are passing. That's great. And I think that's it for all of the tests on this cookies object. Now we're going to write the tests for setCookie. So over in my test file, this is all done. I'm going to get rid of all this. And then I'll copy this. And down here below, new test, describe setCookie is going to have a test dot oh wait, setCookie just has one method called toHeader. So we're going to say describe setCookie toHeader. And the way that setCookie works is it can either take an object or a string. So before I do this one, actually, I want to test the setCookie constructor. So that we're going to test this constructor up here. Donation field hides my face. I know, but my face is not very important. So it's fine. I can, yeah, you know what? Let me fix that for you. Let's try this instead. How about that? Better? Cool. So let's see here. We're going to test this constructor. And we're going to say, that's kind of a lot. I don't think I need all this. And I don't need this. This is actually incorrect. So let's start with creates a new cookie from an object. So what setCookie can take is, is either a string or some properties of setCookie. So we're going to take an object. And if I open up, let's see, the properties available, this is not right. It should give me something like the name. And we're going to say the name is, let's see, sort of similar to what we have here. Well, I think I might as well pull this stuff out into the global scope. So then I can reuse this plenty of times. So we're going to set a new cookie where the name is name1. The value is value1. And I think that's all we need to begin with. So then we'll call setCookie.toHeader. And this toHeader field should take our cookie class and return it to a string that looks very much like this cookie string. So I don't need it to be an instance of setCookie. I want it to be, so it equals my cookie string. Actually, that's not quite right. I want it to be a string, yeah, with name1 equals value1. So it looks like that's passing. Next, we want to test some of these other properties. So I basically want to be able to assign any of these values and know that they're going to be appended to the result. So let's say creates a new cookie from an object. Yes, that's fine. I'm going to test all of these values. So I need a new test for each one. It sets the cookie domain. And it's really nice that GitHub Copilot really just writes a lot of this for me. I don't want to hard code this domain in here because that would leave an opportunity for an error to occur because I could, I don't know, make a mistake because it's hard coded. So what I'm going to do is say const random domain equals that. We're going to say example.com is a random domain, and example.com over here is a random domain. So let's see if that's running all right. That's our 19th test is passing. So we've got domain value or main value domain, new test that sets the cookie path. That's right. Random path is a URL. I guess that is right. And then we're going to create with the name and a value and a random path, close that off, expect our cookie header to be that, and close that test. So that looks good. Okay, and with that saved, we should see that 19 go to 20, hopefully green. Cool. So I'm just going to knock out the rest of these rather quickly. So let's see. Set. I actually want this to be expires. Oops. Expires, random expires. That looks good. I also want to have, I would need to do an extra test here because I need this to not only take a date object, but also a number and a string. So as date, we're going to say as number, and then once more as string. Although I guess that's not so necessary because well, we are saying that we expect it to be a date object, so maybe we'll take it easy on that. It might make sense to test these this date because here we're basically saying that this object can accept an expires date, and we're even providing some type definition. So when a user tries to set this date, TypeScript will throw an error if they don't provide an actual date object, but it's kind of nice when you can provide a number or a string either. And our code here will actually convert it to a date anyway. So we're probably safe, but I think we'll just keep it kind of lax today. So we expect the expires to take a date, and expires should be set there. Looks good. Next test is the max age. Random max age is a random number. Okay, we have a little bit of an error there. That's what our test should look like. This is incorrect. This should actually be, this is a deprecated method, which is why there's that little cross through it. This should actually be data type and number. Cool. So that's going to generate a random number. And that settles expires, max age. We also want test sets the cookie HTTP only. New cookie name value HTTP true, only true. Cool. And then I'm going to actually pass a second assertion here, because that's great if HTTP only is defined as true. I'm going to change this to, oops, this is going to be, well, actually, all of these const set cookies, I'm going to rename to just cookie. And then expect set cookie, rename all of these to just cookie. Okay. And then here we'll say cookie 1 and cookie 2. And I want this one to be false. And I expect my string to look like that, which should match, yep, essentially that one. Great. How are we looking on our tests? Rerunning tests, and it looks like 23 passing tests. Great. That covers our HTTP only. We also need secure. It's going to generate this whole test for us. That's pretty cool. And then we need our same site. All right, and this one is going to be a little bit different. We want const same site to equal faker dot helpers dot randomize strict, lax, and none. Those are the three values that we can have for same site. So we can randomly generate those here. We will, as authors, will never know what the value should be. But as a test runner, we can ensure that it works the same. So that is my tests for setting up this cookie with these values to begin with. And it looks like we have something failed. In my cookies index.test. I think I need another one of these. No? Oh, there's the problem. Okay. Wait, where is the problem? That's should be there. I think that's right. There we go. Okay. Fix the typo. 25 passing tests. That's great. Now we know that this is a pretty solid implementation of these cookies. Everything works as expected. Now, the last thing we want to do is make sure that we can also parse it from a string. So let me see. Actually, I want to make sure that this is the case. So let's say test.concurrent. We've already got that in place. It decodes the value. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to test that this function actually runs. So the way we pass that is with the second parameter. So it decodes the value on creation. Sure. So we want to say yeah, this is pretty much what I want my test to look like. I want to take a value, and actually instead of passing that value, I'm going to say const value equals, let's say faker.internet. I don't know, URL is good. And then I want to make sure that I am encoding URI component on that value. And when I set this cookie, I'm going to pass a second parameter that says it's a, what is it? It's an object. And this object is going to have a function called decode. And what this decode is going to do is take a value and execute decode URI component. So when we're creating the cookie, we pass in an encoded value, but because we're passing in this decode method, it should execute that when the cookie is created. I hope that makes sense. And the assertion here is that the value equals that value. it looks like I've got that right. So let me comment this out and let's see what it's going to tell me on a failing test. Options.decode is not a function. Ah. Okay, so we have an interesting predicament here. Here, I'm setting a default value for the options object, which itself has this decode method. But because here I'm passing in an empty object, I am assigning options to an object without this method. So I'm going to fix that really quick and say const decode equals options decode, or just a function that really doesn't do anything. I don't think I need those, do I? I guess I do need that. Okay, and then this decode method is going to replace options.decode. And then that should run. Okay, so now we're getting what we expect. Or the funny thing is I'm expecting this test to fail because as the value goes in, I am URL encoding it. So this is, let's see what we have here. What we have, no, wrong file. What we have here is a URL that looks like this, right? And what I'm doing is instead of passing this unencoded value as the cookie value here. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Instead of passing it as a plain value like this, what I'm doing is I'm URL or URI encoding it, which turns it into this value we see here. So what I need to do, I want that decoding to happen, is I need to pass this options with this decode function. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this. It could be a function that does whatever, but this is how the API is designed. So this is what we're going to use. And I'm going to simplify this by just passing it directly as a function reference. Okay, hope that's clear. Now, I think that's it for the object. We should be up here, way up here. So that's all of these values handled. All of that functionality is basically handled here. And then we have our decode method that runs there. And we've tested that all of this works as expected, I believe. So the last thing I need to check is essentially all of this code up here, which is a lot of code, but it's pretty basic. Let me actually write some documentation around this. If it's a string, we're going to split on each, split at the semicolon. So grab each attribute in the cookie string. As lowercase without extra spaces. And then we'll take this guy out of here and say break early if in the case of a trailing semicolon. So there you go. So we want to capture this case because we're splitting up here on the string here. This would give us two values. This would give us foo bar and then an empty string. So we don't want to capture that empty string. So if there's not a key, we can just continue. Or if there was like an empty string like that, we would also want to capture if there's not a key value pair. Cool. So that works for me. And then we basically build out all of our sections of the cookie. Max age, expires, HTTP only, secure, blah, 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 blah. So what I want to do next is, what do we have here? The constructor creates the new cookie from an object. And then it creates a new cookie from a string. I don't need that part. Actually, I'm going to take this and paste that in there. And value should be value 1. So that's going to create my cookie. I expect it to work. Great. So here it's a very basic test. We're saying when I create a new cookie from this string, and then I take that cookie and convert it to a string, I basically expect the same thing to come back. And we should say it works if the cookie string has a trailing semicolon extra space or not. Okay, very long title there, but that's all right. So we know that we've tested this case. Or I guess we want to check it works if the cookie string doesn't. Oh, I hate that. do works if the cookie string doesn't have trailing semicolon. And we'll just do a different test for the next one. Okay, so if we don't have a trailing semicolon, we expect to get it back with one. And then it works if the cookie string has extra trailing space. Can I pull that onto one line? Is that too long? That's too long. Okay, so no semicolon, and then we'll do semicolon and some space. And I think our tests are looking good. And then we want to test that. What do we want to test? Back to all of these things here. So the name and the value we don't worry about. Sets the domain from the cookie string. So once again, we want this random URL, I believe. HTTP only, max age, expires, path, and domain. That's what I want. Domain name. I want to pass in a domain is a random domain. And I basically expect the same thing back. That's funny. Let's try that. So it's a little bit different. So we set the cookie like that, and we test it, and we have a failed test. I may have an error with my code. Let me see. Set cookie to header should return lowercase the cookie name. Interesting. Or maybe it doesn't lowercase it. I'm not really sure. What does my code do? I definitely lowercase the key here so that I can check the max age, expires, HTTP only, secure, same site. And then I have the domain as lowercase here as well. Oh, but the name I am not changing. Okay, that is a bug on my code. That is definitely a bug in my code. So because I'm manipulating this key, Okay, I think I can fix this. I take this key, I trim it, but instead of converting it to lowercase, I want to check when it is lowercase here, but not actually change the value. I think this should fix it. No, expected key equals metal, domain equals that. And I should have got, okay, I have broken things. This is interesting. Let's try running this again. Okay, so now I'm getting engineer equals solid. That's what I expect. And right now I'm only getting my domain. So what is going on here? This dot name should be key, which should set the name, which I should then pull out. I'm going to have to pull this into a different project to work on it. So let's see. What is it? Reju.code? Yes, perfect. I want to go with some JavaScript. This is a handy little JavaScript or programming language runner. So let's say const equals new set cookie with I equals 1. And then we're going to say console dot log c dot to header I equals 1. Interesting. What if I capitalize it? Okay. Domain equals google.com. Okay, so here we have our first issue. Why is this not working? We are a pair of cookies is splitting there, so console log the pair. I get hi and I get domain. Let's turn this off. Oh, I'm at time. Well, I need to finish this up and I'll figure out this bug and then I will have to go. So let's see here. I'm getting hi and domain. And so if I come down here and I log, I still get hi and domain. And if I come all the way down here, well, when I actually generate this, let's see, name, value. I'm not getting a name or a value. Oh, because I'm not executing it. Duh. Let's go down here. So console log this. And we get name is domain. Okay. Okay. Here's my problem. The key dot to lowercase. There you go. Now my name and my value is correct. Cool. Thanks for catching that. JavaScript. So now I have the question of how do I want to test this? I think I want this to be name. And then I'm going to say const key equals name to lowercase. And then we'll leave that as it was. And key equals value. Otherwise, this dot name equals name. So that should not manipulate the names, the cookie name. And in every other scenario, it should modify the key to make it lowercase. So with that running, our tests are passing, everything is happy, and that is as far as I'm going to get today. So I hope that this was helpful. It looks like we got domain figured out. Next is we're going to figure out the rest of these for this project. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. We are not testing two header yet, are we? We're not. We're still testing just the constructor. Really big test suite. Cool. Well, that's it for me. If you want to check out more videos like this, I will be on every weekday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard, unless something else comes up. So thank you for hanging out, and yeah, catch you tomorrow, 3 p.m. See ya.